The antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old computer, caked in green corrosion and crumbling like wet chalk between the divers' fingers as they pulled it from the black Aegean sea floor. They almost threw it back into the sea. Among the marble gods and the bronze youths hauled up from that wreck, this piece looked like nothing at all, a shapeless knot of green metal, roughly the size of a shoebox. Someone catalogued it, set it on a shelf, and moved on. For 2 years it simply sat there, in a storeroom of the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, gathering dust beside crates of far prettier things. The divers had risked their lives for the statues. One of them had died on that wreck. 2 more would never walk properly again. So the eye went naturally to the beautiful marble, to the famous youth of Antikythera, and the corroded mass was left to dry and crack in the shadows. Nobody yet knew what it held. Tonight we follow that forgotten lump, from the dark of the Aegean to the moment someone finally looked closely and found that the ancient world was far stranger than anyone had dared to imagine. So let's go back. It is the autumn of 1900, a crew of Greek sponge divers sailing home from the coast of North Africa shelters from a storm behind a small island called Antikythera, adrift in the channel between Crete and the mainland. When the sea finally calms, one diver goes down in a heavy canvas suit and a copper helmet, some 45 meters into cold green water. What he finds on the seabed stops him where he stands. Shapes loom in the gloom that look, at first, like a heap of drowned bodies. They are limbs of bronze and marble, the scattered cargo of a Roman merchant ship that sank there around the middle of the 1st century BC. Statues, coins, glass, and great clay wine jars lie strewn across the slope of the sea floor. Over the following months, with the help of the Greek navy, the divers bring the treasure up piece by piece. And riding quietly among it, unnoticed by everyone, is the strangest object of all. But the mechanism was already old when that ship went down. To meet its makers, we walk back another 100 years or more, into a Greek city humming with astronomers and metalworkers. Historians still debate exactly where it was built, and by whom. The strongest evidence points to the island of Rhodes, sometime between roughly 150 and 100 BC. Rhodes in those days was a center of learning, home to workshops where bronze was cast and filed and polished, and to thinkers who spent their nights tracking the wandering lights of the sky. The calendar names engraved on the device fit that corner of the Greek world. Some scholars connect its astronomy to Hipparchus, the great Rhodian astronomer, though we cannot prove that his hand ever touched it. Picture the narrow streets at dusk, the smell of hot metal and olive oil hanging in the warm air, a single workshop still glowing long after the day's work is done. Somewhere in there, the idea first took shape. What they made has no equal anywhere in the ancient record. Imagine a wooden case about the size of a shoebox, its front and back sheathed in bronze plates, and those plates covered in tiny Greek letters, thousands of them, some no taller than a grain of rice. This was a manual, engraved into the machine itself, patiently explaining what each dial was meant to show. Inside sat a train of interlocking bronze gears, everyone cut by hand, its teeth shaped one at a time with a file. At least 30 of them survive today. The complete design is thought to have carried a good many more. Turn a small crank on the side, and the whole world of the heavens turned along with it. Nothing else like this appears again for well over 1,000 years. And when we finally learned to read those letters, they spoke not of treasure or of prayer. They described the sky and how to predict its movements, night after night, year upon year. So how could a box of bronze wheels model the heavens? The genius lies entirely in the gears. Each wheel carried a precise number of teeth, and by meshing wheels of different sizes, the maker built the rhythms of the sky directly into metal. One turn of the handle moved a single day forward. On the front face, slender pointers crept around a ring marked with the zodiac and the Egyptian calendar, showing the sun and the moon sliding steadily through the year. A small rotating ball, half silver and half dark, is thought to have shown the changing phase of the moon. On the back, spiraling dials counted out the long cycles that astronomers had measured painstakingly over centuries. It was not magic, and it was not guesswork. It was arithmetic, turned patiently into brass. Every ratio of teeth was a fact about the sky, captured and made to turn on command. Sit in that workshop a while, and you can almost hear the soft, certain click of the wheels finding their places. And here is the detail that still unsettles engineers today. Look closely at one small wheel, and you find it doing something it has no business doing. The moon does not cross our sky at a steady pace. It speeds up and slows down because its orbit is not a perfect circle. Somehow, the maker knew this. So he set one gear slightly off its center and let a little pin ride within a slot on another, so the pointer would race ahead and then fall gently back, mimicking the moon's real uneven motion. A pin and a slot, cut in bronze, reproducing something European astronomers would not fully explain until Kepler, more than 16 centuries later. No one has ever found a second device from antiquity that does this, which raises the question that hangs over everything else. If a single workshop could build this, what more did the ancient world quietly understand? And how on earth did we come to lose it so completely? Because the machine did far more than trace the sun and moon. On the back, one great spiral dial predicted eclipses. Turn the crank far enough, and the device would tell you that on a certain month, decades into the future, the moon would darken, sometimes even hinting at its color and its hour. It leaned on a cycle the Babylonians had measured long before, a rhythm of about 18 years, after which eclipses tend to repeat. The Greeks took that hard-won pattern and folded it neatly into gears. Another dial, we now know, tracked a 4-year cycle of games, the Olympics among them, as if the heavens and the festivals of ordinary life belonged together on the very same instrument. Picture a lamplit terrace above a sleeping city, the device resting on a low table, its dials glowing faintly while the real moon hangs silent overhead. A machine that let a single person hold the future of the sky in 2 steady hands. Then one day it was packed carefully away. Sometime around the middle of the 1st century BC, the mechanism was loaded onto a merchant ship, wrapped and stowed among statues, fine glass and furniture, bound most likely for Italy. Rome was hungry in those years for Greek art and Greek cleverness, and this cargo may have been spoils or trade, or a little of both. We do not know who owned the machine or whether anyone aboard truly grasped what it could do. Somewhere off Antikythera, the ship met foul weather or plain bad luck, and it slipped beneath the surface into deep water, taking everything down with it. The sea closed over the marble and the bronze without distinction, and there the most sophisticated object of its entire age settled into the silt, its gears seizing with salt, its careful letters slowly vanishing beneath a thickening crust of corrosion. It would wait in the dark for close to 2,000 years. Which brings us back at last to that dusty shelf in Athens. The year is now 1902. The statues have been cleaned and admired. The forgotten lump has been slowly drying out, and as it dries, it cracks open. On the 17th of May, an archaeologist named Valerios Stais is examining the pieces when something in the broken surface catches his eye. Teeth. A small wheel of bronze, cut with unmistakable precision, sitting inside what everyone had dismissed as a scrap of broken statue. He suggests, cautiously, that it might be some kind of astronomical clock. Most of his colleagues simply do not believe him. It seemed impossible that the ancient Greeks, those masters of marble and rhetoric, could have machined a precision gear. And so for decades the object hangs in a strange limbo, too odd to explain, yet far too real to ignore. The lump that had almost been thrown back into the sea had just quietly begun to rewrite a corner of human history. The full answer would take another century, and a machine of our own making. Over the years, patient scientists chipped away at the mystery. In the 1970s, the British historian Derek de Solla Price passed X-rays through the fragments, and caught his first glimpse of the gearing hidden within. But the real reckoning came in 2005, when an international team wheeled an 8-ton X-ray scanner into the museum in Athens and looked straight through 2,000 years of corrosion. What the scans revealed was startling. They traced the shapes of gears no eye had seen since antiquity, and they lit up those thousands of tiny letters buried in the bronze, an entire instruction manual hidden inside the rust. Line by careful line, researchers began to read what the makers had written. The device, once catalogued as worthless scrap, turned out to be, by broad agreement, the oldest known analog computer in the world. A cold white light, finally revealing what the Black Sea had guarded so long. And even now, it keeps a few of its secrets. Modern reconstructions can turn that crank again and watch the sun, the moon, and the eclipse dials move together in quiet harmony, exactly as they were designed to. Researchers have even proposed that the front once carried pointers for the 5 planets the Greeks knew: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Though the gearing for those is largely lost, and precisely how it worked is still debated. We do not know for certain who built it, whether it was one of many such devices or a lone masterpiece, or why nothing quite like it appears again for over 1,000 years. What we do know is this: a single human hand, working with a file and a great deal of patience, pressed the motion of the heavens into a box you could carry under one arm. Watch the reconstructed wheels turn, warm in the light, and it feels less like an antique, and more like a mind still thinking. Rise up now, high above the water where all of this began. From here, the whole story quietly reframes itself. For almost a century, the single most advanced object of antiquity lay ignored, first on the seabed, then in a drawer, simply because it happened to sit beside things that were merely beautiful. The marble caught every eye. The genius wore a crust of green and looked for all the world like garbage. And that is the quiet lesson the mechanism leaves behind. The ancient world was cleverer than we let ourselves believe. We so love to picture the past as simpler than the present, a slow and clumsy climb toward our own brilliance. But somewhere in a Greek workshop, 2,000 years ago, someone understood the sky well enough to make plain brass repeat it. Below, the Aegean lies silver under the moon, keeping the place where a machine that thought like a mind waited patiently for us to catch up. So the next time the word primitive drifts into mind, remember the shoebox of bronze that waited in the silt while we called it rubbish. It lay there, patient, until we grew clever enough at last to understand it. The dials are quiet again now, resting behind museum glass, their long work done. But down where the sunlight barely reaches, the sea still remembers the shape it cradled for 20 centuries. The tide moves over the old wreck as it always has, indifferent and slow. Green bronze, crumbling in the dark.